Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Aldine School Gymnasium. This meeting held in the Aldine School Gymnasium is an open session of the Roselle Park Board of Education, held under the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Star-Ledger, local source, the Home News Tribune, the Borough Clerk, school offices, and the district website. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
President Miller.
Here.
Vice President Harms.
Here.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Cancino.
Here.
Mr. Gergen.
Here.
Ms. Powers.
Here.
Mr. Sekou. Mr. Signorella.
Here.
Mr. Vita.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to the Aldine School Gymnasium. We are going to go into executive session in a moment for a brief time, but before we do that, I would like to make an exception, and because we have a Girl Scout troop here who's very excited to talk to us, and they also have some homework to do as well. So, being sensitive to the time and their dedication to their homework and getting home, we'd like to present a Girl Scout troop. Welcome, please.
Roselle Park Board of Education. My name is Ellen Margarita, and I'm the leader of Roselle Park Girl Scout Troop 40998, as the mayor calls us. My co-leaders are Kathy Roche and Muriel Ramos. They're here today. We're here today because our troop has a request to make about the grounds at Robert Gordon and the Roselle Park Middle School. We're going to start with the first girl in the troop, and they're each going to say one sentence about this request.
I am a third grader at Robert Gordon. When I go to school every morning, I notice there are water bottles and wrappers on the ground in front of both schools and also out on the field. When there is litter on the ground, people tend to litter. Our troop would like to put more rubber cans around the school and outside and build it on a better place. When I was at a soccer game, I picked up litter after the game. There were only 2 garbage cans and they were in the far back of Robert Gordon School. Our troop would like to see 2 garbage cans in front of both schools and 2 garbage cans out. Having more garbage cans will help people throw their trash into the cans so there will be less litter.
We have one girl who wants to say something. Mia?
Yeah?
Can you read her part?
Yes. When people litter, animals can eat the trash, or it can go into the sewer system, or eventually into our ocean.
Thanks, Mia.
Hi, I'm Leah, and my mother has called Mayor Hokinson, and he has agreed to purchase 4 garbage cans for this quest. And our troop can garbage bag for these cans.
So our troop would like to know if you approve of this request, and if you do, if maybe we can arrange a time frame when we can have the 4 garbages installed. I understand there might be a litter abatement event scheduled in the spring. The town is considering doing something in April, so that's our request.
Mr. Harms? Mr. Harms, he's the chairman of the facilities committee, and he's going to talk to her about it.
There's nothing I can say but yes. We thank you. Girls, great job. Even contacting the mayor and all. We'll work out the details and let's see what we can get done. Quicker than April, maybe.
Thank you.
Just a question, do you get a badge?
Yes.
They do? All right, great job. Sure, absolutely.
Boys and girls, pardon me. I can't break that habit. I just wanted to thank you for coming out, especially on this stormy night, to give your presentation. I took a lot of guts and took a lot of courage. So we're really, really proud of you. And also, we're really proud of you for setting a good example for Roselle Park citizens to see. When they see you, Phoebe, out there picking up trash, or Tanisi, Ella, I mean, you're out there, you're setting a good example. And you know what, other kids will say, hey, you know what, that's a good idea. So keep on doing it, because you know what, we have a wonderful town that we live in, but we need to also keep it just as beautiful as you guys want it to. And we're excited about your project. So girls, good job. Go home and do your homework and enjoy your family. At this moment, I'd like to have a motion to go into closed session. So move second? Second, Mr. Bowman. First, Mr. Harms. All in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to executive session for approximately 15 to 25 minutes. And the reason we're going is for real property. Thank you.
Bad enough where it is now that it's always I just heard about this. I saw the signs, but I thought that they were somewhere else. Or they were just buy it. think that the guy's doing this as well. So I
Okay, so I'm going to start. Wait, right over left. Right on left. How about Ella starts and she next goes to feet? Yeah.
You guys dodged the stomach virus that went around?
Feet. Okay, so list.
Oh, well, Gavin was probably
And then stick your foot out. And once you stick your foot out,
around
spin
now.
out.
You know, if I did bring him home,
Okay, let's start with those. It's getting confusing. Okay,
I'm thinking it might be stomach virus. I know he gets it and I'll get it. On Thanksgiving, I ended up getting it because of the stomach virus. Oh wow, it was really bad. It was like, I mean, I had stomach virus before where I sleep it off, I get fluid, hydrate, and then the next day it's gone. But Tuesday, late afternoon, it's when it started hitting me. I went Wednesday, it'll go away. I went to Thursday. I was still going Thursday, Thanksgiving.
From Tuesday to Thursday?
Late Tuesday.
And was it the flu?
I got my flu shot. I was like really dying. I probably took every medicine that the doctors told me. I got everything. When I went to the ER on Thanksgiving, when they put all the fluids and stuff, when they put all the fluids in there, I started to get better.
Wow. That's crazy. So Gabe got it, no, Logan got it first. Then he gave it to me. I thought I was good. Like 4 days had passed where like no one else got it. We escaped, but then I got it, and it was like the leg cramps were the worst I've ever felt. Like, at one point I had to throw up standing up because I couldn't bend my legs. It was the worst. And then all I wanted to do was sleep, but every time I laid down, every 5 minutes I'd have to stand up because the legs are cramping.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But for Gavin, for some reason, I don't know why. Got him went to there. He was like fine, like nothing happened.
That's good.
He did later that night to develop a fever. I saw him like kind of crashing and tired. Then it's Friday, playing around. Like, I don't know what kind of virus it is, but he got better just that quick. Because I know once I get it, I'm done for a day and a half.
Yeah, at least. Once you feel better, all you want to do is sleep, not jump around. And then Gabe got pink eye, and then Logan had some virus where the only symptom was fever. He had no complaints.
Yeah, I heard
just
that. I heard that's a new virus now. It's the fever with
like a little congestion.
congestion. And that's what Gavin now has. Now he has
He had a fever for 5 days. It didn't go away. It was like the morning it would spike, then we'd give him Advil, it would go away, and then we'd like, oh, it's better, and then at night it would come back, and then in the morning, like for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was similar to Gavin. I'll say
He was missing presentations at school, all kinds of and then he's going stir crazy because he's not sick, so he's bored.
They haven't talked about this part yet. Have they?
I don't think it's last, right? I think they said it was like on page 3, buried or something. Oh, wait, there it was. Go back one. Modular approach. I think that's what they're called. Yeah, they were saying like
That's another one. I've been to classrooms myself it's not that bad, but for special needs,
We've always had them growing up.
there's more skills, more practice skills, more physical, occupational. You need the room, you need the space, you need concerns the bathroom, make sure you have the bathroom as well.
Oh yeah, how about that?
I don't know.
My
Security as well.
one of my concerns is, and of course they won't say it, but down the road when this starts being cost prohibitive, they'll say, well, we don't really need a preschool, but we do need something for special needs. Let's just do special needs. And that's not going to help just having special needs in there. They need kids in there to model the behavior after. And then I wonder if it's even, if they need a special needs preschool program. They might just be able to cut the whole thing. And this is where this is a slippery slope. I mean, 5 years the whole program's done.
Concern I see is like that I don't know if it's the money, they don't have the money or the effort, but I don't see anything feeling I'm having, especially with Gavin or anything. There's no priority, I guess they're letting us slip away. They're, like you said, eventually I would say if you're gonna put everything to Main Street and then pull out every kid for a specific need. But I don't know. That's the last thing I want to see is kids with special needs excluded.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if there's...
How are you going to function that next year?
Yeah, they need the prep for kindergarten. They're going to be way behind. It might just be that the owner said that they can't stay there next year because he's trying to sell it. And then there's nowhere else to go in town. I don't know. That's why I don't know what to do because they're like, you get calm, show support, but it's like, I don't know what to argue because we don't have all the facts. What if we say, you got to stay there, and they're like, we can't, it's not an option. The owner said we can't. So lose that.
Have you spoken to Miss Jill or
Miss Megan was telling me, and Miss Jane told Lisa this morning.
anyone said anything about what they know?
Yeah. You want to walk over there and see if they can? Did you grab that over here? Yeah.
Do I have a motion to go into open?
Make a motion to go in open.
Mr. Signorella, first, second?
I'll second.
Second on Mr. Vita. All in favor? Aye. We're in open. And we're in closed for approximately 35 minutes. Sorry about that estimation, folks. But no action was taken. It was for the reason of real property. No action was taken. And thank you again for being patient, and we're going to start with our first public participation portion of the evening tonight. For agenda items only, if you'd like to come up and speak on any agenda item, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you'd like to speak on. You'll have 3 minutes for your comment.
Jacob Figueroa, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, members of the board, good evening. Please explain district policies number 1 to number 6.
Number 7.
Jake, are you referring to the new first reading or second reading?
All
Oh,
the 1 to 7 as they say.
the first reading, which is local units, it's a second reading tonight. And again, there was a revision that was made by the New Jersey School Boards Association, and the revision for that particular 1410 was to change the name from DIFAS, Division of Youth and Family Service, to what is called now DCP&P, Division of Child Protection and Permanency. So the name was changed, so therefore the policy needed to be changed as well. That was policy 1410. In terms of policy 2224, non-discrimination or affirmative action.
Number 2
Okay.
and 3.
That was 2224. There was an addition to a clause prohibiting gender discrimination that was not in the former policy. So what was added was a clause prohibiting gender discrimination. Also designated an implementation of a 3-year action plan that also is necessary now. So that was the change in that policy. The next policy, which is 3326, that's payment for goods and services. There was a deleted language that allowed for 10% increase in original purchase amount. So they had to delete the language allowing a 10% increase in original purchase amount. That was the only change in that policy. The next policy, use of school facility, which is 1330. Yeah, the use of school facility, there was an addition prohibiting against smoking and chewing tobacco, and also an addition prohibiting against campaign activities. So those were the changes for that one particular policy.
And Mr. Brito, I know you have a couple more, and Jake, basically, through the school boards and through our board policy committee, we've been updating our policies, which have not really been updated since 2005. And we contracted out the New Jersey school boards to help us. So every month, every week, probably we get updates to our policies, and we make the revisions. So right now, Mr. Cancino, with the help of this committee, they've been revising these, and we're trying to get about, what, Mr. Cancino, six or seven, first readings, second readings, every meeting, so we can get them through.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking these questions.
Absolutely.
As a taxpayer, as these folks are taxpayers.
And
you get state money that comes to me, you have federal money that comes to me.
Jake, when we do the,
Peter, Pedro.
I'm sorry, if I can just explain, when we made the revisions, we highlighted on the policy, so if you would like, I can give you a
Then
handout.
why don't we have it for the general public?
it is on the website, and here's a packet for you right here.
Websites, some people don't have computers because they can't read them. And you have to have them in
Okay.
Spanish, English.
Okay, and Jake, I thank you for your comment, and we have a packet for you here. And if anyone else in the audience would like a packet, would love to hand you out this riveting information for you to have. So you can have this packet, and the next time we have the second readings and first readings, I'll have a packet for you, and anyone else in the public who would like one. Okay? Thank you for your comment.
Mr. President?
Gentlemen, in
Yes.
the audience.
Last year, we, as a board ops committee, and I don't want to speak for this year's chair, Mr. Cancino, but we have requested that we have those available at the door for anybody that was wanting to pick them up, so that the public, in an effort to be completely transparent, so they could understand what the first and the second readings were entailed.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gerger.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, you know that.
Good night.
How you doing tonight? My name is Josiah Aiken, and I live at 825 Filbert Street, Roseville Park. And I have a 4- and 3-year-old, and I'm just wondering if someone could explain to me number 30, the modular classroom project. I would like to know what the heck it is, because there's not all that much specification on here. We looked on the website to try and find out more information. But it says, there's an approves educational specifications prepared in connection with the project. It approves schematic plans prepared in connection with the project, but I have no idea what the project is or what's been approved or what the heck we're talking about. So I was wondering if someone could explain that to me, which kids we're talking about, what the plan is, and what considerations have been taken for the kids that are involved.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Harms is our facility chairman, Mr. Aiken. Thank you for your comment and question. And he has a prepared statement that hopefully will answer your question. Sure.
Right. I'll read the statement. Okay. It would have been under committee, but I can do it this time here now. This statement is for the modular classrooms and for the middle school roof. Okay. The Roseville Park School District is always looking to improve student learning experiences and maintaining student safety while at the same time being physically responsible. On tonight's agenda, you will have seen 2 resolutions impacting our facilities. I would like to inform the public on both of these agenda's items. The roof, basically the roof is leaking. Okay, in middle school it has been for a while. We're putting up bids to get the project done, so it'll be done this coming after school's out in June. Okay. Now, to your, as you may already know, the board is in its final year of the lease agreement at the John and Days Early Childhood Center. Due to the rising rental costs, the board has decided to move into temporary modular classrooms while planning a permanent home for the Early Childhood Center. The board understands that a preschool is a necessity, and therefore will do everything to maintain the quality of the program. However, the board is also looking ahead to the future and looking for ways to become more efficient and physically responsible. Therefore, the board working on the AD ad hoc, which is the ad hoc committee, to receive recommendations for future plans. We will continue to update the public as the board moves closer to formulate for replacement. Again, the board is always looking to improve the students' school experience, and will continue to work to accomplish that. Basically, what we're doing tonight on this is to just ask the permission from the county and the state to allow this to happen. Okay,
What is this?
Modular classrooms to be put in. Since we're not going into the base properties anymore, due to the cost increase, okay, we are looking for ways to be more physically responsible.
Fiscal.
I got you.
Okay. Whatever. So we don't spend taxpayers' dollars more than what we should be spending. Okay, so the classrooms would be located in an area that we pick if it's approved. We will be saving X amount of dollars in the beginning. Our students who are entitled to go there, okay, will not have anything different than what is expected of us to give them. In other words, anybody in our school district, okay, that is entitled to go there will receive the exact same they've been over the past years.
So the same teachers?
Same teachers, same everything, just a different location. Okay, it's no effect to our students who are there. Now, I'll say that there are some students that go there that are, how am I going to say, that are not tuition based. They're tuition based, okay? When we go to the modulars, they will not have the tuition based students going there.
Tuition based being those that are spending, they're paying for school.
That's correct.
So this will be relegated for the people who qualify under certain
If you
conditions.
qualify, as I said, if you qualify for the program, you will get exactly what you've gotten over the years.
Except the students that are paying.
That's correct.
And the kids that are paying are the ones who are usually not special needs or qualified
That's
education.
correct.
So this will be basically a modular school for special needs kids.
Temporary. A temporary modular classroom.
Without any interaction between special needs kids and kids who are
The
not.
special needs kids will be attending these modular classrooms. That's who will be attending until a permanent structure is built.
Sorry, if I just to come
No,
up
that's
at
fine,
any
that's
time.
fine, that's fine.
I'm new here, forgive me.
That's fine, that's fine.
Usually, yeah, board meetings, a different setting usually. So the kids that are, I feel like a little bit like an NBA player got drafted and rebuilding here. So you guys are planning for, well, my son's 3, so because of the timing of it, that he just kind of loses the, what about the kids who are there going to be any options for kids who are paying for this?
Not in this temporary situation, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to follow up. The plans that are going to be sent to the state, first of all, they're very strict in approving plans. So we need to make sure that, number one, the location that the modular classrooms go in, the program meets state requirements. So we're sending these plans to the state will come back, let us know exactly. But I just want to let you know about modular classroom. Number one is temporary. And since your child, son, daughter is 3, obviously that's the temporary term that we're using. So, but those modular classrooms, they mimic, they are the same as the classrooms that they will have now permanently. the quality of the program is not going to suffer in any way. We'll make sure we have quality teachers, the quality teachers will be there. You have quality programs will be there. And we'll make sure of that. But I just want to let you know that the state will not approve anything that is not that follows very strict requirements. So whatever those requirements are, we have to follow. And, just to make you feel that things will be fine. And of course, there's a
I'm
change.
assuming that your position is that your child, okay, is not, your child will be tuition-based?
I don't know because we haven't actually entered it. My daughter is 4. She is tuition-based, so we are paying for her.
Okay, so again,
My son turns 3.
to answer what you're saying is, we know the program will not change for the ones that are entitled, okay, to enter the program. Is preschool disabled? The question is that temporarily we will not have tuition-based students coming until we get this final location and classrooms back. I mean, that's where it's going. You know what I'm saying? I know where he's coming from in his question. I was more on the tuition base is what you're asking.
I would also say that's a shame because my daughter is really good with special needs kids. And I really feel like she gets a lot of value from interacting with kids with special needs.
That's why we had it, but we can't put it into this modular temporary short-term places. We just don't have the room for it.
Listen, I mean, I let other people have questions, I'm sure, so I'll start with this. Is there any way for us to have any idea of what type of modular classrooms that are offering the same service? I mean, forgive me for being just a smidge skeptical when you say it's going to be the same. I'm picturing playground that we have now. I'm picturing the bathrooms, the nurses, and so if we're talking, these must be really sweet modular units.
They are, and they have to be because the state says you have to do this.
Right.
This isn't what we say we want to do or not want to do.
Right, right.
It's the state says this is what you will do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have no choice in the matter. We're not going to skimp on anything. These are going to be, the playground's going to be there for the children of the 10. It's going to be there. The bathroom's going to be there. The teachers are going to be there.
Is there any way for us to see in advance what these things look like?
Our plan is to obviously have some kind of orientation with the parents as soon as we put them up, as soon as they go up. But we will have plans. We will have plans, and in the time that the time comes, we'll share them with the public.
I take too much time. Thank you.
Sure, and Mr. Aiken, thank you for your comments and your concerns are valid. And, to the district, education of all our children are very, very important and a priority. As Mr. Rita, when he instituted the full-day kindergarten about 3 years ago, when it was half-day, which was great. And I understand your concerns. And this is, every step along the way, we want to be transparent, let you know, let you see the plans and see what's going on because it's your children. And it's very important to us as well. This is change. Change can be uncomfortable sometimes. But you know what? It's looking at the bigger picture and looking long term for our children of Roselle Park and for our future. But we thank you for your comments and we welcome more.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Medina. My name is Catherine Medina. I'm at 146 West Roselle Avenue. My son is 4 years old. His name is Adam Sedano, and he does have an IEP, so he is preschool disabled. I have a 3-part question. My son needs physical therapy and frequent motor breaks due to his autism and ADHD. Have you taken into consideration how you would implement that in a modular home? Second part, have you considered how the district would meet IDEA requirements for special needs students to be in the least restrictive environment and to be exposed to neurotypical children 10 hours weekly after accounting for the time that they're isolated for their therapies? And lastly, have you considered the increase in requests for mediations regarding the IEPs due to the above, as well as the likelihood that should the district lose in either mediation or litigation, the district could potentially be on the hook to pay for children to be educated elsewhere at alternative sites, including transportation?
Again, These plans and the plans for the program will be sent out to the state. The state is very strict in terms of approving permission for these programs. So everything that you covered, that was covered in your statement, certainly would be something that we will have to provide to the state. So although I don't have a specific plan at this time, there will be plans for exactly what was asked.
And just to tag on to that, I understand what you're saying, that it'll be part of the plan. But that is part of something that my son is guaranteed in IDA, is that interaction with other students.
Absolutely.
But from what I'm hearing, however temporary it is, he's not going to have that interaction.
In terms of?
In terms of neurotypical children, he needs to learn
Integration with
social behavior and act like.
yes.
And that's part of
something
it.
that we, yes. And that's a very good question and a concern, and we'll definitely address that as well. Because you're absolutely right with the law, with special education, with the least restricted environment.
Because that could also, as much as we're saving the money, we do want to be fiscally responsible.
Absolutely.
There are other unintended consequences
We
of
will
the
definitely
mediation
take
process.
consideration for all of that. We will be working with the director very closely. We'll be working with the county office very closely, and the state as well. So we will, and I know the parents are very concerned, and there's some anxiety in the building.
There's tons of anxiety.
Absolutely. But I just want to let you know, as the superintendent, the educational leader of the district, we will be transparent. We will share every single step with you. Okay, this is just the first step. We're taking baby steps now. And again, Mr. Miller mentioned seeing the big picture. We do see a big picture at the end of this, what we're entering now. We have to have a transitional period. Unfortunately, it happens to be with your children. But we will make sure that the program that they have and what's in their IP, because that's a legal document, is provided for your child. Okay?
And input that you gave us is vital, because, that's what we need. I mean, not only are we working with the state, not only are we working with, other entities, but you're also an entity as well that we value, because of your children, and that's what we're here for. And, those regulations which probably inside and out, that's what we need to hear. And as we go along in this process, because, we're all stakeholders here. We're all working together. That's what we're here to do. And Mr. Garrido says, we're going to be transparent. We're going to have your input because every step of the way, because that's what we're here for, and that's what you've elected us for. So thank you for your time.
I am working on a letter to send out to you and any future students of the ECC. So, that would, as soon as I have a little bit more information, that will be sent out to the parents, hopefully by the end of this week, if not early next week. So you're aware of everything that and we'll have meetings as well. Okay? But, I'm very happy, again, that we have the audience that we have here, because it tells us that you like what's going on in the preschool. And that is very satisfying to us as, I know to the board members, and definitely for me. So we want to make sure that we continue that quality of programming that we have with the ECC. So thank you for coming. Thank you.
Mr. Garrido, Mr. President, may I ask, and I know we have a bunch of parents here from the ECC, if they have any questions or concerns, they can reach out directly to you, correct, Mr. Garrido?
Absolutely.
So, and in a public board meeting, it's difficult, I think, for the board to talk about individual circumstances or student matters. But certainly reach out to the superintendent, the board president, Mr. Miller, if you have any, between now and the next update, if you have any concerns or questions.
Hi guys, sorry, one more question on this issue. I'm Chelsea Eaton, that's my husband, we're in October. What is the biggest issue facing that we're not seeing in this building? Because this building, it's beautiful. And the program you have with these teachers, people who are petted, our daughter right now, our son might qualify. Our daughter would miss out on this. And these teachers are phenomenal. The program you have is phenomenal. And I find it hard to believe that in a trailer, a modular home, kids are going to get the same sort of teaching.
Yeah, don't forget, the word temporary is, I know sometimes it's difficult, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, but it is temporary. Mr. Harms, when he read the statement, the rental cost, it's really coming more and more every year. So the plan, again, looking ahead to the future, is to be able to provide our young students, the students that are coming in, with a much better program that can really give the students even more opportunities than they are receiving right now. And you may say, well, this is great what we have. This is something that we're looking forward to and planning. Again, we have to have a transitional period, and unfortunately, it impacts the children that are there now and are coming next year. But I was in a district where they have modular classrooms. And I'll tell you, when the teachers saw that, there was a competition who wanted to be in those, because you'll be very pleasantly surprised of what's there.
Thank you.
My name is Paul, 511 Sherman Ave. I keep hearing that the programs are going to be the same and stuff, but they're not. Because part of the program is having neurotypical children and T children to model the behavior acting. If those students are not there, it's not the same. So stop saying it's the same. Number two, you say it's 10. How long is 10?
1 to 2 years.
Yeah, it could be 1 and 2 years.
So it's not.
Yeah, well, the state does not allow you to have a modular classroom or temporary classrooms more than, at least 5 of them. They don't want more than 2 years. Okay?
And the last question is, you said that he's raising the rent. What is it now? What's it going up to? So like 50% higher, 100%?
Yeah, I don't have the specific numbers. It's only, get that for you. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Just trying to get that ball.
Yeah, I don't have.
Okay. And I notice you guys keep saying it's temporary, things are going to be planned, you're going to hear the plan. Isn't this happening in 7 months?
Come September, if this all goes through, yes.
But you don't have these very basic things worked out.
They're coming.
This is the start of the process.
This is just January. We just started this.
Okay. I didn't know how long this. You just
We
missed
started in
out.
January.
Oh, okay.
We've had other meetings prior to this with the ad hoc committee, as I mentioned, to see what we wanted to do, some ideas, what could happen. We just started this, what they come up with.
I didn't know how long you have to work on it. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Janine Goodes, 152 Borough Street. I'm coming at this from the other angle. I teach in community preschool in town, and I can understand their frustration because we are registering now. My class is full next year. The 3s and the 4s are half full. Are you guys going to have a definite answer? There is no a day center next year because these people have to find other places. Also, I know we've been in negotiation for quite some time with Mr. Days. Is there no wiggle room with him? Are we done with a day center? Or maybe next year we can find another way to deal with that? I don't see that he's going to be able to rent that to anything but a preschool, or he's going to have major renovations. Is this a done deal? Or should they start looking elsewhere? Because they really have to start looking elsewhere. Is the days off the table?
So I'll speak, Mrs. Goodes, and I'm just going to interject here as a board member. So it was stated that the plans or the filings with the state that started in January. Negotiations on the current property for the ECC, it's been 10 years that we've been in there. Not many, from my chair, not many school districts lease buildings. And when we went outside for outside counsel to get some of the specifications of real estate pricing per square foot for leases and stuff, there just is not a whole lot, right? So school districts, towns aren't in the business of leasing property, right? I can't answer for why 10 years ago it wasn't purchased. Currently, we're not, we've been negotiating for 10-plus years on that property,
And
right?
most of these families probably weren't here when I actually was. They probably don't know a lot of the backstory of how that all came.
Of how that was
We couldn't get it
completely
built, and it was built, and it wasn't gonna be
And it was a
built.
completely different building.
Yes.
And land around it. So with that being said, you know, I don't want the impression to be that this is something that the board just started doing in January. It's been going on the better part, you know, for at least the last 9 months with real sit-down meetings with the landlord there. He's had a for-lease sale for at least a couple of months on that property, right? So, you know, he himself is preparing for it, just as we're preparing with the filing with the state. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to Mr. Connors was saying that, you know, there's a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers of Rosa Park. And so, you know, this is a necessary first step with the filing.
I'm just thinking as a parent and a teacher, I know where they are, and they gotta get moving, unfortunately now.
We understand. Nothing's ever closed.
Okay,
Nothing's ever closed. We never say that.
thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodison.
Hi, I'm Matthew Langen, 245 McGee Avenue. Before I get to my question, I just want to recognize that I'm really appreciative of all the passion that's in the room on the part of the parents and the board and the administrators. It's really good to see that so many people care about the same things, which is providing the best education we can for the most children in a cost-effective way, since it's the taxpayers who are paying for it. Having said that, I have a question about pro wrestling. Item 28C. So there's a event planned on behalf of the Roselle Park Class of 2020, a pro wrestling event. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Would you like to answer?
You signed up for it?
Is this a fundraiser? I guess not.
It is a fundraiser.
So, I think they've done it in the past.
Yes, they have. I think there's an annual event now that's been going on for the last few years, Mr. Baker.
It's about 3 years.
3 years?
Okay.
And is it still the kids that graduated? Some. There's some alumni that actually participate on the circuit that come back.
Okay. So what portion of the proceeds go to the class and what portion are kept by the rest of it?
That I do not know, but we can certainly find out.
I don't know, they get a percentage, I think, of whatever the gain is, I don't know, the past. I don't know what that is.
We will find out, we'll follow up either next meeting or if you want to give me a call, but I'll just let you know at that information.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Rafael Woodruff, 187 Clay Avenue. My concern is the classroom module or the parameter we've been hearing. Is there any concerns of, for example, space conditions, whereas it's not just only the child, also the teachers, where the child will be pulled out for occupational therapy, physical therapy, going to the bathroom, cafeteria, the simple transition, especially kids. Is there any concern about that? And also, where it might be, is any talk about security as well?
Yes, obviously, all of the above are part of our plan, and we continue to make lists, and we appreciate you bringing that up. Security, of course, is our number one concern for any student here in this district. You can see around the buildings, we do have new measures of security, and we will have the same for those classrooms as well. In terms of the logistics, parking and things like that, yes, we started to plan to make sure that if there's a traffic issue or there's a parking issue, that we address it prior to the start.
Yeah, well, going back to what I said about the space conditions, where my concern is for the students and the teacher, where there is space for them to do certain additional skills, special skills, therapy and all that.
Yes.
I just want them to somehow be limited. even if it's just temporary, but
Yes,
still.
and you're right, although some of the activities, the programs may be modified, they're not going to go away. We will make sure we provide, we have to, by law, it's, the programs that we have in place, whether it's PT, OT, what have you, we make sure that those continue. We will certainly have a plan, but, we will communicate with you as we continue to plan ahead.
And I know it's a mystery at this point, and in clearing up, and like Mr. Rio just said, communicating to you is very important, vital. Like having a round table, soon, so you understand what the groundwork is, what our scope is, what our timelines are, what those facilities will look like, the specs, the special ed specs, special needs specs, and hopefully those will answer your questions, and if they don't, we'll find you the answer.
And Mr. Miller is correct. I'm going to set up meetings with Mrs. Sisignano to have frequent meetings, and we'll invite the parents in, and I think that's the best way to communicate is to have face-to-face or roundtable to bring up, people can bring up these concerns and we can definitely address them one-to-one in an informal way. So, we will have those. And you have brought up some really good points, and we listen. We've always had, as Mr. Miller mentioned, with the full-day kindergarten, a lot of concerns as well. We, started working one step at a time, and we were able to accomplish some things that we didn't know we were going to be able to. So, again, this is temporary. I know it could be a little inconvenient, but we're going to make it work. I'm very optimistic that we'll make it work for each one.
Nicole Motley, 249 McGee Avenue. A couple things. One, what about the IEP children that go half the day, but then they're paying tuition the other half the day? Are they going to be not able to pay tuition the other half of the day? Do they have to go back home, babysitters, whatever? What happens to the teachers? Are they going to be losing salary because now we're losing these tuition-based children? Another question is, what is the cost difference between leasing the building for another 2 years and losing the tuition children versus, renting these modular buildings? I mean, is it more cost effective to lease it for 2 years and keep the tuition-based children? I mean, it's just something to look into.
Yeah, these are negotiation questions that deal with negotiations, so, we obviously cannot be specific about it, but those are very good questions that you have brought up and points that you have taken into consideration, absolutely.
Okay, well, what about, my main question, like I said, was what about the kids that are half-day IEP? Can they still, since they're already there half a day, can they still pay the tuition for the other half a day?
We will provide that information. Obviously, we'll have to hear back from the state and their regulations, and they will take care of the other situations like this type of students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Saul appears on 150 Berwyn Street. Agenda item 11. The resignations of the track coach. Is no school track gone?
I'm sorry, what's the section?
Is it?
No,
Okay.
it's not. It's, I think they're moving into something bigger,
Okay.
It's changing that.
All right.
It's not, that it's...
It's remaining, it's just
It's remaining.
those two people are resigning. Okay. 22, agenda item. The calendar, is there a copy that will be made available at the time?
Absolutely. It will be on the website tomorrow morning.
School and,
I'm sorry?
school and, the date, is it like a Wednesday or Friday?
It's a Wednesday, yes.
And this was run through the calendar committee.
Absolutely, yes.
27, just a question regarding the treasurer's report, and I apologize, I haven't noticed before, but it's 3 months behind. October is being voted on today. Just wondering, has that always been the norm? I apologize if I haven't noticed that. Or...
It's normal for it to be 2 months behind. That's the average. This is a little bit longer than that.
That's fine, so my apologies if I didn't notice before. And regarding the roof, I presume that that'll be done during the summer? Okay. And then when the bids go out, they'll be brought in discussion. And now for the modular units, just some questions. I actually did research this. I was remarkable about it. In 2006, the school had leased it, or it was being leased at $9,000 a month. In 2016, with the contract, it's going to go up to 11.5. It was an increase. So for like those first 5 years, it was almost no increase for the first couple of years. And then it jumped 2%. And the last negotiation that happened, there was a release sign and everything happened. So I guess the question that the parent did ask my neighbor so the end all goal, what is the end all goal, I guess is the question. Is the end all goal for the board or the district to have its own property, to make a long-term commitment? So let's say that it leases, like again, like Mr. Curtin said, it finds a space. Is the end all goal to have its own property? Because over the years, $1 million has been spent, $1.3 million on rent alone. 12 months, by the way, right? It's not 10 months, it's 12 months. So you pay all year. So $1.3 million over 10 years. Is the end all goal to find a location?
It's always the end of all goal to find a home for the ECC that is part of our school building. So
So let's say, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. And this will start in September, I presume? And let's say between now and September, thank you. Between now and September, the property owner comes back and says, I got a great deal for you.
Free?
Yeah, right, to make up for everything. But suppose, again, like my neighbor and fellow resident, if there's a negotiation that allows perhaps parents reach out to the property owner and say, hey, think of our kids, since your name was on a lot of buildings. If you could, think of us, is that still, although I don't want you to go into any specifics, is anything possible?
Right, we will always consider it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Since there's no one else, we'll close the first public participation portion of the meeting tonight for agenda items only, and now move to policy, where I'd like someone to before we get to policy, let's go to the superintendent's report, and we have Mr. Rito, and...
Good evening. I'm sorry.
I made too many notes in my agenda here. Well, sorry about that, everybody. But we're going to go to committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report they'd like to speak on?
President Miller, I do have one.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir. So the Finance Committee met, can everyone hear me? Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me now? The Finance Committee met on January 30th, 2017, to discuss the preparation of the 2017-2018 school budget. At that meeting, the committee learned that the governor is scheduled to give his annual budget address at the end of February. Approximately 2 days later, the state aid figures will then be released. This information certainly is a critical component to the school budget. The committee decided to hold a public budget workshop during its regularly scheduled 7th board meeting at Sherman School. We hope that all interested community members will be in attendance. In order to fulfill our legal obligations in accordance with the New Jersey Department of Education timeline, our tentative budget will be adopted on March 14th, 2017. This will require the board to change the March 21st meeting to March 14th. Finally, our official public hearing on the budget will be held on April 25th at the high school. The committee plans to meet again in February and in March to continue working on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Ms. Powell?
I attended the Union County Educational Services
commission meeting on February 1st. And I have to say, I was very, very impressed with the people on that committee, with the superintendents of those schools. There are 4 schools involved. One of the things that really impressed me most was that there were actually teachers who attended this meeting, which I thought was very, very important. 2 of the teachers had their students make things that went for sale to help support trips that they're going to take. I ended up myself, I got a scarf that was the autism design that was made by an autistic child, which I thought was just really beautiful. The other thing that that school currently does is they are working with Overlook Hospital at a project called Project Search. And what it is that the students intern over at the hospital, and they actually can receive certificates for when they go out into the world to get a job. And some of these students have actually been offered jobs over at the hospital. There were 2 students, they both received specialized certification. One was as a food service, and the other was actually for a forklift driver. So I was just truly amazed at the work that is done for them. The other thing that they have going on, which I thought was important, is that the Crossroads Schools and Quinnipiac University, for the School of Health and Science, they actually have a program where the students from the university will be coming over to these schools, and they will be teaching the students clinical education classes, which is very, very good. It broadens their horizon, and it really helps them for the future. I'm very, very glad to be part of this commission. I'm sure I have a lot to learn when I go there, but I have to say, I was truly impressed with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Anyone else? Mr. Consino.
Good evening. The Board Ops Committee met a few weeks ago with President Miller and Superintendent Garrido. We were going over the different policies. That's why you see so many policies in the agenda now instead of going 2 or 3. We're upgrading it because we received a packet from New Jersey school boards. We have the stick is this, going through policies that we haven't changed in so many years. So if you do have any questions, please let us know. And I will also look into having the policies updated at the door to making sure that everyone is able to see it so we can be transparent as possible. I don't want to keep anything hidden that doesn't need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cancino. And now, anyone else for committee reports? Seeing there is none, now we're on to the superintendent's report. Ms. Garrido.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. My report tonight is actually a required report. We are required by the state to report the biannual summary of harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations, training, and programs for the school. Mrs. Backer, who is our anti-bullying coordinator, will be doing that. Also, she will be reporting on the school self-assessment for determining grades. And this is both under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, which became a law, a required law back in 2011. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Backer to come up and report on those 2 items.
Good evening, and for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ellen Backer. I'm the assistant principal at Roseville Park High School, and I'm also the anti-bullying coordinator for the district. As Mr. Garrido said, I'm required by law to do these reports to the Board of Education. I'm going to start with our self-assessment. These are the numbers that should be included in your packet. Every year, at the end of the year, each building in our district, their anti-bullying specialist, as well with their school safety team, has to do a self-assessment. This is very, very detailed rubric with 8 indicators where they rate how they're doing on the requirements put forth in the Bill of Rights. It's not, it's just really a tool that they can use to make sure that they are doing programs and trainings and just making sure that their building is safe and that the students and the staff are all aware of the policies. So they sit down in June with the principal and they fill out this rubric. The numbers might be familiar because I'm required to report the results before I submit them to the Department of Education. So these exact numbers were presented to you on July 26th. Then I give them the state. They look at them over for months and months, and they were just released 2 weeks ago, and now I'm required once again to report them to the board. So all of our schools did well. To meet the requirements, you have to have a score of 52, and all our schools exceeded that. The state does not designate a passing score, but to meet all the requirements, it's a 52. So we do very well with that. All those scores, Bible, are also posted on each school's webpage for the community to see, as well as the district page. So if you have any questions about that, you can just go there. There's also links on that page that explain the Bill of Rights for anybody that has questions about that. The other report that I have to provide is the Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying Report, Internet Interventions, Trainings, and Programs. That reporting period is broken down to 2 times a year. The first reporting period is from September to December 31, 2016. And during those time for this year, we've had a total of 7 HIV investigations, and that's district-wide. Of those 7, 5 were confirmed to be harassment, intimidation, or bullying. Our investigators are Andrea Cosadoy at the high school, Kathy Pons at the middle school, Allison Canarak and Robert Gordon, Jamie Halperin at Sherman, and Nancy Avazino here at Aldine. All this information is once again posted under the anti-bullying, our bullying links on all the district pages. I'm also supposed to report on some of the discipline imposed when we do find them to be HIV. Our number one discipline imposed, and I wouldn't even call it a discipline, is to educate both our offenders and our victims about our HIV policy, and as well as the parents. Just because really, if they're first offenders, our goal is to just make them understand their behavior and to help them change that behavior in a positive way. We also have parent conferences, student conferences, suspension of privileges. We're called upon, advised of future consequences, detentions, and suspensions, which are usually more on the high school level. The remediations that are often implemented are teacher monitoring of student interactions, monitoring by aides or hallway monitors, change of seating, schedule changes, limiting interaction between students, individual counseling, referral for community services, classroom-based lessons, student conferences, parent conferences, connecting students to school-based sports and extracurricular activities, referral to leadership building programs, engaging the child study team, and if necessary, collaborating with the local police department. We're also required to do trainings for our staff, and the staff also includes not only our teachers, but our administrators, our Board of Ed, our custodians, our contracted service providers, our substitutes. Anybody that walks through our building is required to be educated on the policy, including our cafeteria staff. So it's a pretty tall order to make sure that everybody is being educated, not only on our policy, but on protected categories, meaning that you can't intimidate based on things like gender, ethnicity, race, but most of all, our characteristics are special characteristics, because a lot of times it's things like they just don't like each other, or they don't like what they're wearing, or they don't like what they said. There's not any really one specific thing that jumps out. So some of the trainings that are implemented for our staff are on our HIV policy and protected categories, HIV interventions, HIV prevention, school culture and climate training, cyberbullying, diversity awareness, conflict management, youth suicide awareness, harassment, intimidation and bullying administration workshop, gang awareness. I did a training for our fall coaches. That's also a very important little niche to make sure that our athletes and our locker rooms are safe. And I also attend meetings in the county for all the anti-bullying specialists. Some of the programs that we've implemented, and once again, this is just for the first half of the year. There's a whole slew of other activities and programs and trainings that will be implemented that are in progress that I'll be reporting on in June. So some of the things are the new kid assembly. We do a week of respect. Bullies to Buddies student assembly and parent programs, our Peyton Hart project for HIV suicide prevention, anti-violence awareness week, character education lessons and assemblies, Officer Phil safety programs, Respect Me for Who I Am campaign, Rise Above All assembly, our LEAD program, and other things that the teachers just do that are integrated on an ongoing basis. So I'm very proud of the initiatives and the programs that we have here, and we continue to strive to make sure that all of our students are safe and that our staff is aware. And thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Sure.
Mr. Bell?
Considering, the recent political environment.
Correct.
Everything we've seen in the terms of relations.
Mr. Bell, speaking to the microphone, please.
Have you seen any, uptick related to, that you could, say is related to, the political climate?
I haven't had any reports from the elementary or the middle school level, and I would say anything at the high school level has just been a really honest, robust discussion, and I think that it hasn't led anywhere near to bullying situations. But we really work hard with our students and our teachers to give them an opportunity to express their opinions and their views in a safe environment, and our teachers help those students process that by learning to accept other people's opinions and to do that in a healthy way. So I have not seen anything directly related in terms of HIV in relation to the election and the current political climate now. So.
I have a question.
Sure.
And some of the things you mentioned with the Bullies to Buddies program you're doing, but are you planning to do any events or programs that celebrate diversity, that celebrates inclusion, that celebrate even something simple as conflict resolution? Because I seem to think that a lot of times we are reactive more than we are proactive. So going forward into the future, are there going to be more programs that's going to celebrate all of us for who we are on all levels, elementary, middle, and high school?
Absolutely, that is an ongoing problem. We're very proactive, because proactive is where you want to be instead of having to react. So all of the things that I listed are all integrate that. You'll see more for the second half of the year because it just lends itself to having time to plan and implement these things. The first 4 months of school, we're really focused on just the basics and getting our academics flowing. So you're going to see a lot of activities based around African American History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month. At the high school, for example, we're doing a mixer next month for LGTB, our Gay Straight Alliance. So there are plenty of activities. Proactive is probably more what we are. So I would say that there's lots of going on. Our character education lessons that are integrated through the elementary and our anti-bullying specialists do special lessons. All of those themes are part of it.
And your program has been very effective, Ms. Becker, and we thank you for your time tonight, especially for this unfunded mandate that we have to do from front. But yes, Mr. Sagan? No. Or who was that?
Actually, I do. No. Continue with your words.
I'm losing my train of thought. But no, we really appreciate the program, and obviously the program is working very well. Because, and I've said this many times before, but I've been so impressed with, especially, with all the children of our district, but especially with the high school children, because there's just certain things where they love to come down and participate and work with the elementary students in certain events that are hosted throughout the year, and they're just generally very polite and very respectful, and so I think what you're doing, your program, and what the staff is doing, and what Mrs. Costa is doing in the high school, middle school, and even in elementary schools is really showing great results. And holistically raising a child is so important, not just academically, not just athletically, but also socially. And for that, I commend our staff and you for a great program. Mr. Gray.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Miller. Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
It seems in the recent HIV reports, and not to get, I would classify them as cyberbullying. Is that, there tends to be or at least it's my perception that there's been more of that. Is that true reception, and is it because we're becoming aware of it, and it's being brought, or is it there's truly an uptick in that area?
Well, based on the fact that our students are doing the majority of their socializing via social media, it makes sense that a lot of the bullying then is transferred to that format as opposed to face-to-face. I think on the elementary, I would say that a lot of it is still the back and forth, give and take, but as they get older, social media certainly plays a big part of it. We do a lot of training with that, with our staff, with our students to raise awareness of that, but that is just the world that we're in. And every time I read a paper or look at an article, you can see that that's really a very trending topic right now. That's where it's all happening, especially for our teenagers. It's a challenge because some of the platforms that they use, are here for 30 seconds and then they're gone. So it's hard to capture what's happening sometimes. So Andrea Closedoy, our anti-bullying specialist at the high school, is amazing. How thorough she is and how knowledgeable she is and how she really works with students to help them process that. And because it's, everything we try to do, we try to make a learning experience so that either they don't do it again or they learn to handle these situations in a more productive, positive way. That's our goal. So, when you get a first-time offender, you just work with them. It's the second-time offenders, those are the ones that are more of a challenge. But again, our goal is always to get them past that, to mature and to find a way to handle things in a better way.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Mrs. Backer, thank you, and I would like to commend Mrs. Backer, our anti-bullying specialist, for a great program. The social-emotional programs that we have here are second to none. And coincidentally, I heard the word proactive before, and being proactive is starting very young and very early. And if you walk into our early childhood center, the theme there is friends, and you hear that word constantly, and it starts there. And we have two teachers that I'm sure if I ask them to come up, they can spend hours in the programs that they do there at the early childhood center. So it starts early, being proactive, and everyone, the entire staff does a great job moving up, and that's why we are so successful all the way up to the high school. So everyone does a wonderful, wonderful job here in providing the students a safe and nurturing environment. So thank you, Mrs. Backer. Thank you for your report.
And now we're on the policy portion of our meeting. And that's where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 7. One being just 1 through 3 being district policy second readings. 4 through 7, being district policy first readings. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Cancino, second.
Second.
Mr. Vita? Are there any questions or comments? Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Cancino?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Ms. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Sekou?
Yes.
Mr. Signorelle?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
Roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on personnel, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 8 through 18. 8 being district substitutes, 9 being degree change, 10 being 2017 Roosevelt Park summer camp salaries, 11 being staff resignations, 12 being maternity leave of absence request, 13 being maternity leave of absence request, 14 being additional WISE, energized with math personnel, 15 being staff appointment, 16 being additional lunch supervisor personnel, 17 being retirement compensation, and 18 being change of assignment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Signorella, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Burton, are there any questions or comments?
With regards to the summer camp, Ms. Gershio, those steps and rates remain in line with the previous year?
With the exception of the first line, high school student counselors, salary was increased 50 cents an hour.
Across all 3 steps?
The first 2.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Christian. Anyone else? Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Cancino?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Bowers?
Yes.
Mr. Sekou?
Yes.
Mr. Signorella?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
Roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Now we're on education. Or I'd like someone to make a motion for agenda items 19 through 22. 19 being 2017 Roselle Park Summer Camp, 20 being education programs, 21 being educational trip requests, 22 being in 2017-2018 school calendar adoption. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Mr. Vita, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Harms. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes.
With regards to the calendar, so, and I appreciate the effort. Was there a board representative?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Harms.
Mr. Harms, thank you, Mr. Harms, for your tireless effort to get the calendar out, and I know there's a committee that goes together. I just want to point out one thing that I find a bit surprising and also disturbing at the same time is in November. We go 3 weeks consecutively where we will not have our elementary and middle school students in the building a full day for 3 weeks, a full week for 3 weeks consecutively. I know it's a challenge because we have an election day in there, and for security purposes, the board agrees to keep that closed. We have the NJEA convention. We have the middle school and elementary conferences with the early dismissals, the 15th through the 17th, and then we have our National Thanksgiving holiday and the recess, right? So I guess, in seeing this, and I mentioned it to Mr. Guerrero the other day when I saw him for a committee meeting, that, I looked around at what other districts were doing, and the value of having the kids in the classroom a full day, even though a shortened session only takes an hour, 40 minutes or 50 minutes off the calendar, it really does shorten their periods, shortens their learning and classroom contact. I would ask that the board representative next year, this board, whoever we have go to the committee, try to look at those elementary and middle school conferences. When we look around to what other Board of Educations are doing, they're piggybacking them the week of election and NJEA, where we've had them in this district for a number of years, as far back as I can possibly remember. As well as I saw one creative district actually put 2 of their elementary middle school conferences the week of Thanksgiving. Those are early dismissal days. And so, that week is traditionally only a 2.5-day session week anyhow, so they just kind of shortened it up. I think it goes a long way when we got so many pressures on both our staff and our students to hit all the mandates that are pushed down, in addition to the regular activities that go on in the classroom from a social perspective. Just to have 3 weeks consecutively where we're not having a good majority of our students a full week of education is a challenge in my mind. So I'd offer that up for consideration. Outside of that, the calendar looks great, and thank you for the efforts of everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Gurton.
Just one comment. Mr. Gordon, we did discuss to a little extent on the conferences. As you can see, it didn't work out to be very well, but at least there was a dialogue started with that. And again, if I'm on next year, I will definitely look into being creative and maybe using it, for in the Thanksgiving week. The only problem that we have is we have that one night one.
Understood.
And that was the hard part right there, because it is at night, and that's in the contract that we have.
So, and it's in the contract. So I totally get that. So maybe it's the Friday before Thanksgiving, or it's another day somewhere not in November for the teacher conference. Maybe it's the end of October.
No, I understand. At least we started a little dialogue with it. Didn't expect to be too much, but again, it was somewhat started.
So, and for anybody, our new members of the board, the 2 new members, the calendar, the best you can do is hope to get 51% of the people happy, right? Because that's one committee that is, everybody leaves looking at each other and not very happy. So a lot of good things come out of that. So I appreciate the calendar in the shape that it is in Mr. Harms and those that were on the committee with you.
Yeah. And Mr. Gurn, just to make a comment, and thank you, and I couldn't agree more with you that we want to maximize the instructional time of our students. This, for whatever reason, was a very difficult year in November for a couple of reasons. The way the calendar just fell, and obviously we typically would have the conferences during the election week and NGA, but we decided to close both, of course, a very good reason, which was the safety of the students. And due to contractual obligations, obviously, we need 3 days of conferences, so that week in November, teachers do leave early on that Wednesday, so we would have fell short 1 day. But we certainly will continue to explore a creative way, but I want to thank you for bringing it to our attention. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I will comment too, Mr. Greer, I think it's excellent that we have our in-service days towards the front half of the school year. You know, the years past, they were kind of on the back end. If we're truly looking to help provide professional development, it's best served for everybody because it's the beginning of the year. So I appreciate those efforts and continue to keep that at the front half of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Gurton. Anyone else? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. And now we're on to business. Or I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 23 through 30. 23 being approval of bills, 24 approval of transfers, 25 donation, 26 approval of minutes, 27 secretary treasurer report, 28 use of buildings and grounds, 29 middle school roof project, 30 modular classroom project. Do I have a motion? Mr. Harms, second?
Second.
Mr. Sekou, are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to abstain from number 28, letter E.
So noted, Mr. Cancino. And I will be abstaining from 28, letter F. Anyone else? We thank Friends of Roselle Park for the donation of $700, that's on agenda item 25, to help enhance our middle school music program. Our children, thank you. Let's see. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. And now we're on to continuing business. Does anyone have any continuing business they'd like to speak on? And how about new business? Since there's no new business, now we'll go right to...
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
I'm sorry.
A little update on the Robert Gordon sign. I'm not sure it's down yet, but we are going to take it down and you have to refurbish it and put it back up again. Just update Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. Mr. Signorella?
So my question to you is, I think, I have a question and we're going to educate here. Can I request to go into closed about real business after this during this meeting? Am I allowed to? Question to the chair. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I'd like to go into closed business after we adjourn or whatever the protocol, continue about real business before I go home.
Real property.
Real property.
Real property. Okay, so noted, and we can go into executive session after the public participation portion of the evening.
I would like that, thank you.
You're welcome. And now we're on to the public participation portion of the evening tonight. And if you'd like to speak on anything, please come forward, state your name, address, what you'd like to speak on. You'll have approximately 3 minutes for your statement.
So I'm curious on 115 Berwyn Street. Regarding agenda items 29 and 30, do those require a referendum? Because I think one of them, or both of them are capital, or one of them is listed as other capital. Will that require a referendum or not?
No, neither project would require a referendum.
Okay, it would just be a capital project, correct?
Yes.
It would go long term, okay. And And with regard to the question that was asked, for the cost of the units, trailers or modular units, is that going out for bid, or is there an estimated as to what they're going to cost? And will they be placed like the other that can go in front of the school? So, that's what it's for. It'll be in front of the school, right? Okay.
Or next to it, or facing to the school.
Regarding the finance committee, for the chair, are you doing your review using the same state aid, because that's usually what's done, right? The same state aid amount, since you don't know what it's going to be. Are you using that figure, or are you just using no figure, or are you waiting for that to come in to?
We're using
The same, as it's no change. Okay, all right.
Right, until the new number comes out.
Thank you.
We have to work with something.
Gotcha, right, exactly. And apologies if this was addressed at the last meeting because I was not here. Is there a fourth school bus now? When was that purchased?
About a month or so.
And that was during, I'm sure that was approved during the meeting. And that's going to be, so that addresses the whole,
We don't need to.
and the crowding issue, I guess. And then, again, to the finance committee, if every year it's asked what the tax impact is going to be on households, if you could make sure that it's to include debt services so that impact is more accurate, I guess.
The total impact.
The total.
It will be total not.
Thank you. And to address, again, to Mr. Board members, Mirella, through the chair, has there been any update on the term notices on the website? I think you requested that, right?
No, I don't have it.
Does anyone?
It's not on the website.
It's not on there.
Will it be? At any point? Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. If the superintendent, for whatever reason, rejects this project, what happens? Can you answer that?
Thank you for the questions.
Thank you.
I agree with you, Mr. Kirsten, with the list. Jacob, can you give us exposure of the name to Roselle Park, ladies and gentlemen, the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, good evening. Being that the Board of Education budget is twice as high as the municipal budget, for your consideration, you would give the speakers double the time, from 3 minutes to 6 minutes.
Board policy is 3 minutes currently, but as you can see, due to, at the president's discretion, we allow more time, obviously when warranted.
You should be selective. You should not be selective. Especially to a senior citizen, we should get 10% more on our.
Only if you come early.
We'll continue, time's a wasting.
There will be a time. For our borough attorney, Mrs. Osborne, update on 430 East Westfield Avenue. I believe you folks are calling it real property, not fake property, real property, or EAW property.
Yes, it is real property in the sense that it's not personal property. The update right now is that the matter is still pending. I don't have an update at this time.
Can you give the general public an idea of what this is all about? Even one smidgen? people are just inquiring. Why is this, what's this big secret?
There's nothing that's a secret. As I think was responded to at a previous board meeting, it involves a matter where a complaint was filed against the district, and the matter is pending.
What do you mean pending?
Meaning that no final resolution has yet been reached.
Are you close or far away?
We would like to think that we're always close to a final resolution, but since we're not there yet, I can't speak to that.
How much money do we have, cash money, like to fix the roof? There was always a
Surplus?
Surplus, you mean?
surplus. How much in surplus do we have presently?
What is allowed by law, which is 2% of our budget.
How much is it, the 2%?
I don't have the exact number, but it's 2% of the budget. Come to the office tomorrow, I'll give it to you.
600,000, 500?
That's a close estimate.
Close,
Yeah.
close, pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, good night.
Good night, Jane. Thank you. Seeing there's no one else, Mr. Lange, come on up.
Hi, Dr. Lange, 245 McGee Avenue. First of all, a comment to Mr. Cancino. Thank you very much for all the work you're doing on revising policy. I was able to read some of the new policies on the website, and I gotta say, it's a little bit dry. So I was wondering if maybe attached to every new policy document, there could be like a one-pager describing the changes that are being made. I know that the changes themselves are highlighted, but then we don't see what it's replacing. So in the case of the one document where we just had to update the name of something, that would really be good just to have it attached. I know you have a lot of work to do already, but that's just a suggestion.
I'll look into it.
Okay. Question for Mr. Bowman. Can you go over those March meeting dates again about budget workshop?
All right, so we're going to have the public budget workshop during our regularly scheduled board meeting on March 7th. That's going to be at Sherman School. And then we hope to adopt our tentative budget on March 14th. And then which will require us to change our March 21st meeting to March 14th. So we'll, instead of having meeting on the 21st, we'll move it up to March 14th. Then finally, public hearing will occur on April 23rd at the high school.
23rd, Mr. Lange?
23rd. You can show up on it.
Okay. So last question. As you know, we have a new Secretary of Education as of today. Someone who has never been a student in public education or a parent of a student in public education or a teacher or a principal in a public education environment. Just one, for purposes of seeking information, how does that affect us on a very local level? How do the decisions of the Secretary of Education affect us on a local level? And secondly, how can we as citizens voice our opinions up to the Federal Department of Education?
Good question. We'll have to wait and see. And I think that's probably the best answer that we have right now. I don't think at the local level it's going to be as noticed as, at a federal level, but obviously it's going to trickle down. But we have to wait and see. And, I think the best way to voice your concerns or your opinions is to call the local senator or congressman and, let them bring it up to the DC, federal government. And I think that would be the best way to voice any concerns.
And also, as you do very well, keep your finger on the pulse of social media, because I'm sure there's many different venues or vehicles to reach the Secretary of Education. And I mean, who knows? It's very unpredictable, Mr. Lange, in the future of what's going to hold with this new Secretary of Education. I mean, I'm hearing some things through interviews of people who voted for her that she's, you know, going to really leave it to the states and the local municipalities to take care of their educational business as opposed to strong or having directives. But, you know, we're going to find out. We're finding out many things. Well, hopefully everything will be okay and we'll keep on going. Okay. Seeing there's no one else, we'll close the second public participation portion of the evening tonight. And do I have a motion? We're going to go into executive session. Do I have a motion to go into executive?
Make a motion, go in executive
Mr.
session.
Sigmund, second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cancino. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We were going to be in there for no longer than 20 minutes, and we are going in for real property. All in favor? Aye. We are in closed session.